Hey, how's everyone doing?
Hi, everybody.
She's tired, can you tell?
Mm-hmm.
We just got done watching Backlash, and as we do with all of our pay-per-views, we take a second to give you our thoughts. I will speak just for myself. I will backtrack a little on my comments that I made on Top Rope Spoilers yesterday about there was zero chance that Edge and Orton could put on the greatest wrestling match ever. I'm still not going to say that it is the greatest one of all time, but they did a pretty good job. Granted, it was a cinematic match, but at the same time, I think they did a fantastic job of, making both of them look very strong. The ending, going especially well, to allow that rivalry to end. Of course, the news coming out, through several social media channels that Edge is going to end up missing 4 to 6 months with a tricep injury that he suffered during this match.
And of course, that again breaks my heart. If anybody understands me and knows that I've been an Edgehead since 2005, and for him to go into retirement was emotional, and then for him to come back out of retirement at the Royal Rumble is emotional, and now this, it's just playing with my feelings at this point.
2020 strikes again, huh? I mean, it just, every time you feel like you finally get that feel-good story, because it looked like they were going to, this maybe would have brought an end to that, giving Edge potentially the chance to, maybe get another matchup, maybe against someone like a Seth Rollins or maybe even Drew McIntyre, but now it's looking like he's going to miss the rest of the year. And it's a good thing that they put on a good cinematic match outside of that, because to be perfectly honest, the rest of the pay-per-view was an absolute snooze to me.
I mean, the one match I actually was looking forward to was the women's match. That was decent, but what I did not like is they put all of the women's matches like in the first hour and a half. I wasn't too happy with that, but that's just another can of worms. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, that's going to be something that we're going to discuss, in quite a bit of quantity over our next On the Ring Apron, because of course the news that Paul Heyman is no longer in charge of Monday Night Raw, and now Bruce Pritchard, with basically, translation, Bruce Pritchard running Vince McMahon's ideas, essentially now running both shows. And it was very apparent tonight exactly how it went out, because they hyped up a championship match with the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders that ultimately ended up just being a cinematic non-match of the two of them just fighting with each other, an odd segment with Akira Tozawa and some ninjas. Maybe I think that was Titus O'Neil as a ninja with them as well. But in the end, no match, and as a result, two people who had been heavily pushed by Paul Heyman, which were Andrade and Apollo Crews, end up getting their match moved to the pre-show.
Honestly, I feel like the cinematic moment between the Profits and the Raiders should have been in the pre-show for entertainment, and then the Andrade and Crews should have been in the main card. But
Well, the Raiders and Profits segment could have easily been put on Raw tomorrow. That's something that would have given you 10 good minutes of entertainment on Monday Night Raw. But instead they used it wasting pay-per-view time. So. I feel for Andrade and for Apollo, and of course, Vega and Angel as well, because they also had to suffer the side of that as well. Moving through the matches, no title changes tonight, so no plate exchange for me, at least not for right now.
We're gonna actually have a video. I'm gonna actually have Steve upload it at some point during the match with Drew and Lashley, where
her reaction at the end of it.
I had a all Jesus moment, but I'm gonna let Steven post that video, that way y'all could see it.
Let's just say the spirit of the Lord showed up in Kia when Drew managed to pull off that win. Everyone correctly predicting that Lana would directly be the result of Lashley losing. I thought it would result in him losing at some point, but I thought he'd win tonight, so I don't get that one done. So it is what it is.
I wanna see how it plays out, where what's gonna happen to Lana, Lashley, and MVP through this upcoming week. What's gonna happen? Is it gonna be a divorce?
Oh, I sense a divorce on Raw. And you know how divorces go when they're on wrestling shows.
Yeah, they're messy, and we've seen some over the decade and a half that we've been watching or whatever. Mm-hmm. So
and also the one other match tonight that had Bruce Pritchard / Vince McMahon written all over it was the women's title match between Asuka and Nia Jax, leading to a double count out at a pay-per-view Asuka, of course, retaining the title because of it. But what it means is we now get to watch 6 more weeks of this as they head into Extreme Rules third weekend of July. So we're looking at another, 5-6 weeks of this same story and the same, back and forth. Nia probably injuring Kyrie a couple more times, between now and then. So, when you've got so much talent sitting in the back of Monday Night Raw, you've got Bianca Belair, you've got Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, the list goes on, and yet they're going to apparently be pushed back into catering for a little while. So it's kind of ridiculous. You can see the little one has come in to join us here for a minute. He's only going to pop in here for just a second. But for the most part, we went ahead and took the time to, really the whole pay-per-view was just an absolute snooze in my opinion. They ended up, really just had me bored. They brought the potential interesting point that you might see on SmackDown, Miz and Morrison, Miz pulling Morrison off of Strowman when he tried to pin him, and then realizing the mistake he made, but by that point it was too late. A tease for Otis to cash in, but he obviously didn't. Really, until you got to the Street Profit Viking Raiders section, there was really nothing much to look forward to. And then Orton and Edge, putting on what I would say was the match of the night. Granted, again, cinematic, but it's a shame to hear about Edge's injury. And, I thought they did the best they could. I'm not going to argue again that it's the greatest wrestling match of all time, but I'd argue that if you put it under the circumstance, you'd probably put it top 20, top 30 all time. Mm-hmm. So it is what it is. We look forward to, now we enter a period of about 5 weeks with, no pay-per-views, because of course we had In Your House last week. We had Backlash this week, so now all of a sudden you end up having to now go through a dead period for a little while where we won't have another pay-per-view until Extreme Rules. And I have a feeling, I think a lot of the matches that we ended up seeing tonight, especially like Nia, Asuka, potentially Drew and Bobby, may very well happen again. But anyway, hopefully everyone, tried to find a way to enjoy things. I'm not sitting here saying we didn't have fun tonight. We watched it on Zoom with a bunch of our friends. Stephanie, Haley, thank you for making it enjoyable with us. But for the most part, I feel like this was a very quickly put together, very much probably Paul Heyman's stamp getting taken off of this pay-per-view, and it definitely showed. So hopefully they're able to recover on Raw. We'll see how it goes. We'll see if the Profits and Raiders will finally go at it, or if maybe they're just going to make them friends permanently going forward. But either way, y'all have a good night. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll catch you guys on Friday for On the Ring Apron. Y'all have a good one.